Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 2024. Happy New Year to all of you, and welcome to the first episode of the year for Emerald City Sports, the podcast, which just happens to be episode number 60. Give a round of applause. 60 episodes in the bag. Obviously, we skipped a lot of weeks, but it's okay. It's okay. We're still here. We're still doing crazy things on this pod. It's going to be fun. And there's no better way to start the new year off than what happened on New Year's Day. Because the Washington Huskies are the talk of the town, much to Josh's dislike. 37 to 31, win the Sugar Bowl, take down the Texas Longhorns in honestly quite dominating fashion until the final minute. All right? The whole game, 59 minutes of that game, was completely Washington. And in the final minute, obviously, you already know a football team from Seattle has to give their fans a heart attack. What is new? We're used to this. But we could have gone 1 week without a heart attack, but it's okay. We got the win, 37 to 31, and obviously the first person you have to talk about is Michael Penix Jr. I mean, this guy, if this did not prove that he was snubbed from the Heisman, this game, I mean, he just proved to everybody he should have won the Heisman. 29 for 38, 430 yards, 2 touchdowns. Josh, as an Oregon State fan, what did you
hmm
see from Penix this game?
Uh, I I mean, I think all the East Coast viewers that were still awake because it was basically a Pac-12 after dark game. A if they actually saw this game, I didn't. No, but they saw why why Penix deserved that Heisman over Jaded Daniels. He was able to play under pressure. He was able to make those highlights were amazing. Like the really accurate passes that I could never see in a lifetime with Oregon State, whichever QB could it be. Um, and actually got into my head that I think he could be the perfect fit for the Seahawks to draft him as well.
That's what I'm saying. At this point, just trade up for Michael Penix. This is the guy for our future. Look, he is 24, but man, just the way you see him play, it's too tempting. You gotta pick him up if he falls down on you. And honestly, might as well just go up there and draft him. Like, just trade up and get him. But it wasn't all Michael Penix. I mean, he had a great surrounding cast. His wide receivers went off. Romo Dunze, great as usual. Jalen Polk, star-studded game. The guy that we met at sports broadcasting camp 2 years ago, or a year, 1.5 years ago, and he told us
Yeah, 1.5.
he was gonna get 1,000 yards, and we all thought, okay, this was the season. We interviewed him the season. I mean, like a couple months before the season started, and that was gonna
Two
be
seasons
That
ago.
was gonna be
Yeah.
Penix's first season, right? And he said, "I'm gonna get 1,000 yards sometime in this college career that he has." And all of us are like, "Who is this guy? Never heard of him." So we all thought he was capping. And look at him go out here and just tear down that Texas defense. We can all admit gladly that we are going to eat our words, eat our thoughts, just knowing, damn, Jalen Polk went out there, and this is the guy who's going to be Washington's wide receiver one for the next couple of years too. Jalen McMillan also went out there, played a great job for a guy who's been injured for the majority of this year. Dylan Johnson was going great up until that brutal injury. Hopefully, he does come back for the college football national championship, but the chances do look slim. But I mean, it wasn't just Penix. The whole team was doing a great job all around, especially on the offense. But we got to talk about the defense. Yeah, Michigan will probably have a field day with us if the defense plays the way they did. If they play like they did in that goal line stand, the final like 3 plays, if they just play like that against Michigan, we're good. We're set. We can probably win the game. But what they did, like they held Quinn Ewers to down for like a good 3 quarters, but once he started getting cooking, they seemed like the Seahawks defense where they would just bend but don't break, and they kept giving up chunk play after chunk play after chunk play, and it got a little nervous. But obviously, they came down, they stopped them at the end. But the defense is still the question mark for that team. And coming in to a very crazy, very exciting national championship, you have to face the Sign Stealers. In the Michigan Wolverines, led by Jim Harbaugh. Look at that. Seattle versus Harbaugh all over again. What? Look at that. It's a perfect story. The script writers are going crazy with this, okay? Gotta give the script writers their flowers. But, I mean, Michigan is a tough team to play. I mean, JJ McCarthy, you got to give him his kudos. He is playing really well. That offense is strong. The defense was barreling over Alabama's O line, and Milroe was getting sacked all over the place. So this is a very tough team you got to face. Josh, I know you don't want to talk about it, but how do the Huskies beat Michigan?
Um, do the Huskies beat Michigan? I don't. I think first of all, as someone who doesn't support the Huskies, will the Huskies beat Michigan? I mean, that's the first thing you got to get through. Though, as you said, the defense isn't gonna go well. Whatever Seattle game it may be, it's gonna be a heart attack no matter what. Um, and you don't know if they're actually gonna play fairly because they generally can sign stealing and nobody cares because this is Seattle and this is the West Coast and no one cares. Um, yes, Washington has a chance if they can, because Penix is a much better quarterback than Ewers. So if they can pull off maybe probably a similar thing to Alabama, if they're able to weaken the defense throughout the game and then go all out at the end of the game when Michigan's defense is the most tired, then I think that's the key for them to win that trophy.
And something the defense has to watch is Blake Corum. He is a pretty dang good running back for Michigan. Obviously, the run defense is an issue for UW. You saw that in the Sugar Bowl. Hopefully, they patch things up because if that run game gets going, it is just going to be a long, long day for the UW defense. Speaking of UW defense, we got to talk about Braylon Trice really quick. I mean, he was defensive MVP for Sugar Bowl. He was giving Quinn Ewers such a hard time, and hopefully he does the same thing to JJ McCarthy. I mean, he is gonna have a target on his back coming into this game because I mean you might expect them to double team him. But if you do that, I mean you're gonna leave ZTF possibly to also get a sack. So just take advantage of what you can do on that D line. You've got great players, you just gotta execute, and that was something that almost was not able to happen in the Sugar Bowl. Luckily, we did squeak away with it. You said, Josh, that will Washington win? Well, it looks like most of the national media does not think Washington will win. In fact, ESPN believes Michigan has a 74.3 chance of winning this game. What is new
Wow.
for Washington other than to completely get doubted time and time again? They were doubted when they first played Oregon. Oregon was coming in. They said Oregon's going to win. They beat Oregon. They beat okay, they beat Arizona State in a rough game. They beat Utah. They beat Arizona. All of those teams. You go up and play Oregon State, and Oregon State is the favorite for that game. We came in and we beat them too, and we continue on and we go undefeated into the Pac-12 championship, and we are like 9-point underdogs against Oregon, even though we're undefeated, and we come in and win that too. But that's not all. We go into the Sugar Bowl as underdogs against Texas, and we beat them too. How many times is the national media gonna doubt us? Because the more you doubt these Huskies, the more hungry they are to just silence the haters. They've been doing it all year. Every single time they come in and say, oh, Washington's gonna lose this game. Oh, Oregon's the favorite. Oh, Oregon State's the favorite. Oh, Texas is the favorite. The Huskies come in, led by Michael Penix, and they shut everybody up. And I believe this is exactly how it's going to go with Michigan, too. Everyone says Michigan's going to steamroll Washington. They still don't see how the Huskies play. and they are still blind to it. So on this national stage, this is the chance for the Huskies to show to the whole nation why they are in the national championship. Josh, do you have a prediction for this game?
Oh, yes, I do. I mean, give the national the Huskies have given reasons for the national media to doubt them. Their last 10 games have all been decided by 10
That's
points
fair.
or fewer, including games against aforementioned Arizona State, Arizona. They only beat Oregon State by 2. Uh, so it's been close games against obviously weaker Pac-12 teams. I think I think this is where the Huskies meet their end. Give me Michigan 34-30 in Texas.
You don't even want the Pac-12 to go out with a bang. I mean, okay, to be fair, we are
We
leaving
don't
you
get
guys
any money
behind.
if you win.
We are leaving you guys behind. That is fair. Look,
The Washington president turned down a $30 million per year offer from Apple TV, which I mean is a
who
bad
wants
platform.
Apple
But I
TV?
mean, you're making yeah, I know. But I mean, you're getting less pay in the Big 10. Is it really
That's true.
that worth it to make a move? And now you have to play against Michigan and Ohio State every year.
It's gonna be fun.
It's going to be fun, but if you keep when it comes to a down year, which it may do, will it be fun?
That is true. But that's when you realize how good the competition in the Big Ten is. We wouldn't mind seeing new competition. It's a good challenge for Kalen DeBoer and his team. Even if we have a lot of guys leaving this year, we're gonna have a fresh start. It's gonna be nice to see how those guys play in a tougher environment. Because teams in the Big Ten, I mean, you're right. Michigan, Ohio State, you got like Iowa in there. It's gonna be a tough ride, but there's nothing wrong with the new environment. Sometimes, sometimes we'll see. We'll see how it actually
Breaking
goes.
a 200 breaking 200-year tradition to do that when there are other
Yeah,
ways
but
to
that
do that. I mean,
yeah, you realize. I
that's
mean, it's
why the
this is
college football
yeah,
playoff and bowls are
it's
fun
it is.
because yeah,
But yeah, you gotta admit. I mean, the money part of it is also just ridiculously annoying. Like, you're gonna throw tradition away just to get a few extra bucks. It's that's why so many people are so disappointed with college football now because it's all become about money. I mean, you got like the
yeah.
NIL deals, the TV deals, all of that just kind of throws the point of college football out the window. And yeah, it is. That's why a lot of people are not enjoying. I mean, I don't like the fact that the Pac-12 is dippy either, especially after a great year like this. But when it comes to those higher ups, they care about is money. That's what it always is like in business. And unfortunately, the Pac-12 is going to be a victim of it. But my prediction for this national championship, look, they're doubting us again. So we're going to go there. Jacob, by the way, is going to be at the game. So once he comes back on, we're going to ask him about his experience. I think the Huskies, once again, are going to prove the doubters wrong. There's really nothing else I got to say. Penix is going to go off. They're going to prove national media wrong again for like the 15th time this year. And I got the Huskies winning. It is going to be 31-27. Huskies. Josh probably thinks I'm
Okay.
delusional. I may be delusional, guys, but
I don't think you're delusional. I think it's realistic. 4-point win. Yes, very realistic high scoring game as well. Um I just think there's a better chance of Michigan winning.
yeah.
Unless,
I
yeah.
mean, yeah, I got to admit, if Michigan's a good team, it's gonna be hard to get it done. But you know how this team is. They roll in as the underdogs all the time. They always come out with the victory. That might happen again this time, and it probably will be another one possession game where everyone's gonna have a heart attack. It will be great. But you know what was also great in Seattle? The Winter Classic. That's right. We're giving the spotlight to the Kraken, much to Josh's love. The Winter Classic at T-Mobile
Oh,
Park against the Las Vegas Golden Knights in a great game where the Kraken won 3-0. And Josh, it wasn't Grubauer who was taking that goal. I mean, holding the goal down. I mean, and to get a shutout too, Josh. What was this game?
It was headlined by Joey Decord. Grubauer was scratched because of injury. Joey Decord comes in there, comes into T-Mobile Park of all places, in front of 42,000 fans against one of the best teams in the NHL right now, and shuts them up. 34 saves, didn't allow a single goal, and the Kraken put up 3 to continue their 9-game point streak, which is helped them leapfrog and inch oh so closer to that wild card spot.
I mean, Josh, are they back? Say it.
Yeah,
There we
I'm gonna
go.
say they're back here. Um, near just like last year, they had this like really big win streak to start the year, and there's room to even continue the streak against Ottawa Senators, against the Buffalo Sabres, Washington Capitals, all three not bad, but on the lower side games, which now compared to the start of the season, we actually have a chance. We actually have some hope, and we can put up some points, continue to streak, and start climbing our way up that wild card.
And with the goalie situation, are they still gonna stick with Grubauer? Or I mean, a lot of fans are calling for Joey Decord now. What do you think about that?
Um, well, I think they're just gonna keep to that two goalie tandem with Grubauer and Decord. Um, maybe I think there's a possibility that Decord could be the main goalie spot, but it's not going to be overwhelming because we don't have another goaltender that can overcome the skill and experience of Grubauer.
So the Kraken are now 15 wins, 14 losses, 9 overtime loss, and 39 points. So they are starting to creep up there, starting to creep up closer to the Oilers, and they could possibly steal a wild card spot once the season ends. I mean, it is starting to get exciting out there. But like, Josh, what do you? I mean, the Winter Classic coming to Seattle, like it was a crazy atmosphere. What did you think of how like the fans reacted to the way like the oh my gosh, the ice was set up, and like how did it look from your point of view?
I think it looked spectacular. The way NHL put up the whole thing, the branding, the shipwreck, all the concerts and stuff. I will say I think the little flaw they did was I mean, maybe not having because I feel like they could add extra seating on the diamond itself to get fans closer to that. They actually don't have done it and in any other winter classic. I think that's something you can improve on. Obviously, the ice itself is actually because it's not like NHL usually inside arena ice. It's going to be different for the players as well as the sun factors in getting into goalkeepers' eyes. They had to add blinds around the park to stop the goalkeepers' eyes from getting blinded, which is why Decord's feet actually makes it even more um, outstanding.
First
But
shutout in
other
Winter
than
Classic too, right?
yeah, first shutout in a winter classic as well. But other than that, I think tremendous way NHL pulled it off spectacularly and could set possibly more outdoor games for Seattle, which would be fun.
I loved how they entered the rink. I mean, what they have like the fisherman gear on, and they were like guys throwing fish, like
Yeah.
fish just like Pike Place Market back and forth. That's a really creative way to come in. I mean, the Winter Classic in Seattle brought a lot of hype, so they should bring it back. I mean, I don't see why not. It was a great atmosphere, probably one of the best atmospheres you've seen for a Winter Classic. So I mean, bring it back to Seattle, honestly. And yeah, like you said, more outdoor games for the Kraken. I mean, it was great for so many fans coming out to watch, and in that atmosphere, in that environment, it's a great place to play more outside. So the Kraken, Great Winter Classic game, and they are starting to get on a roll once again, hopefully trying to steal a wild card spot. All right, let's get to the bad stuff of Seattle sports, and that is the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Okay.
Seahawks Martin's channel, we're talking about the Seahawks last because they are not as relevant as the two other teams we've been talking about because
Changing up.
they are the talk of Seattle sports now. The Seahawks have been kind of pushed to the side, but that does not mean that they are out of the playoffs yet. But that was not a great game on Sunday against the Steelers. A very bad way to end 2023 for sure. As you got steamrolled over by Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. Najee Harris, guys. This is a guy who everyone said was washed, and you let him run for 122 yards and 2 touchdowns. Oh my gosh, Clinton Hurd is getting fired after this. Look, the offense is fine. They were good enough. It's just the defense that's the problem here. Josh, I noticed you did not break the Seahawks logo behind you, but I think that just means you've accepted it at this point. What did you think of the defense?
Yeah, I mean, I just accepted that just the logo staying there because like we'll have to go into uh the exact same playoff situation as last year. We'll talk about that later, but just I it's just we're going back into the same old Seahawks. Nothing has improved. You bring Geno Smith back after Drew Lock did that incredible game, and then Geno Smith follows that up with I mean, not bad performance, and then as you said, defense. The defense just wasn't good against the Steelers of just a completely mid team, um, and basically giving them the win that um will guarantee Mike Tomlin has a winning record for them as well. We could have forced their hand, but at home, and we just couldn't seal it off, and just terrible loss.
Yeah. I mean, we guarantee Clinton Hurd is probably going to get fired after this, but man, there were so many players on that defense that you would not expect that from them. I mean, Bobby Wagner obviously running around, old as heck, just trying to stay out there. Um, Witherspoon actually missed some tackles this time. Reek Woolen just completely disappointing. The fall off of Reek Woolen needs to be studied, guys. I think it's because he changed his name. Not even gonna lie, he needs to bring the TA back into his name. And yeah, it's just disappointing all around. You can't be letting Najee Harris run over you like that. It was just insane seeing a guy who everyone thought was washed for the past year and a half just come back to life, steamroll over your team in an embarrassing fashion. And to cap it all off, you lost to Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph. All right, this is concerning for the Seahawks. If you're gonna lose to Mason Rudolph, how are you gonna play
You
against
lost to him 2 years ago.
2 years? Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But I mean, that was in Pittsburgh. Obviously, it's gonna be harsh environment.
Yeah.
And Geno Smith, that was like his second. I mean, his first full game, right? Like his first start after Russell Wilson's injury, I believe. That was just, I mean, obviously you're gonna get some
Yeah,
revenge.
that
This
was.
is this was different. I mean, Geno Smith is a well-oiled machine now. The defense, arguably, as crazy as it sounds, was probably a little bit better than the defense from that time. If
Mhm.
if I'm not tripping, and so to and this is okay, and this is also in your own house, okay? The place where that used to be the
Okay, I mean,
scariest
you
place to
can you
play.
can argue in your own house a little bit.
That is true.
Uh,
The Pittsburgh fans in there, yeah. This
Seahawks
isn't sad.
SDH.
Well, okay, we gotta talk about the fall off of Tariq Woolen, but we also gotta talk about the fall off of Lumen Field, guys. What happened? It what used to be the scariest place for an opponent to play, and now there are like Niners and Steelers fans and whatever, just almost outnumbering the fans there. It is hard to see. And I'm just gonna throw that out there. We haven't been good since they changed the name from CenturyLink to Lumen. So bring back CenturyLink Field. Um, Going back to the topic. Yeah, the defense is not good. Like this is this takes a big hit to your playoff chances because now it is just like last year again, where you gotta win your last game and you gotta hope the Packers lose. Um, yeah. Last year, obviously, we didn't have any expectations for the team. We thought we were screwed because Russell Wilson was gone. This year, we do have expectations, and we're in the exact same position we were last year, 8-8 at Week 17, needing an NFC North team to beat the Packers for us to just squeak into the playoffs, and all this just probably to lose a wild card. If we can't beat Mason Rudolph, how do you think we're gonna beat guys like Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy, even Jared Goff? Like, it is gonna be
And
very
then we
hard.
beat 3 out of the 4 QBs.
That is true.
Let
But okay,
let
but
me
this is
see.
the playoffs. This is the playoffs. It's completely different. We beat Goff in week
Yeah.
2. The Lions have completely shot out ever since that game. Dak, obviously, we could have won that game. We lost. Brock obviously owns us. Jalen Hurts, if he's not sick, I mean, that he could torch us too. But the Eagles are on the downfall right now. Honestly, we do own the Eagles. We could probably beat them again, but it is just the playoff chances are low once again for the Seahawks. And even if we do make the playoffs, Josh, we're not gonna do well. I mean, a lot of fans are saying, what really is the point of trying to fight for the playoffs anymore? I mean, you got the Cardinals for your final game. Jacob's also gonna be there too. I'm pretty sure. I mean, Jacob's traveling all over the place.
Wow.
So, I mean, your chances are really low right now. It does not look good at all. But, I mean, there's still hope alive. You still can keep it just like we did last year. But this year, last year everyone was excited. We're like, oh my gosh, we have a chance of the playoffs. We have the chance of the playoffs. But this year, we're all like, oh wow, we have a chance of the playoffs. So cool. But you know what? We'll just try to see what happens. We got the Cardinals next. We are playing Kyler Murray this time. I mean, the Seahawks have to win this game. There's no way they don't. It's in Arizona. We own them in Arizona most of the time. It is gonna be crazy to see the white on blue in Arizona because we're so accustomed to the gray on gray. But I mean, new uniform doesn't mean completely new team. This is the team that swept Arizona last year. They can do it again this year. Josh, how do we beat Arizona for a possible shot at the playoffs?
We don't. That's the play. We don't beat the Cardinals. Okay, we try to delay the game as much as possible because we are starting at the same exact time as the Packers and Bears at 1:25 p.m. Pacific. Try to delay as much as possible. Try to get see if the game is over as fast as possible. Then if the Bears are already destroyed by the Packers halfway through the game, we uh we tank the game, get a better
No,
draft
put in Drew Lock.
position. No, Drew Lock's actually gonna win the game. Keep Geno Smith in. tank the game, get a better draft position, draft Penix, and actually have a hopeful year next year
That doesn't sound like a bad
with
idea,
better
but man,
expectations.
that part of me just still wants to be in the playoffs. Like, it just kind of sucks when you're not in the playoffs. But oh well, it would be nice. I mean, the Bears really have nothing to lose at this point. They already locked in the number 1 seed, and they have the chance to ruin their rivals' playoff chances because for 100 years, the Packers have owned the Bears. This is their chance for revenge. This is their chance to screw the Packers out of a playoff spot. And I know Justin Fields would not be afraid to do that. So, I mean, you might be expecting a very hard fought match from the Bears when they play the Packers. And that could mean the Seahawks steal the final spot in the playoffs. But yeah, it's gonna be tough. But there's probably a very low chance of that happening. The Pro Bowlers are out though, and the Seahawks have 3. Believe it or not, they are on defense somehow. Devin
Wow.
Witherspoon, Bobby Wagner, and Julian Love. Okay, Witherspoon, obviously crazy rookie season, almost like Tariq Woolen, but hopefully he doesn't have a fall off next year. Bobby Wagner, I mean, I don't know why, but I guess. I
There's
mean,
nobody
he's
else.
he's got a lot of tackles and whatever, but he's basically just on the veteran award, free Pro Bowl. That's just him. He always makes the Pro Bowl. And then you've got Julian Love, who has come in and played great for the non-existent Jamal Adams. who I really just want to trade after this, but no one's gonna take him because he is pretty much worthless to your defense. Um, so I mean, two deserving guys and Bobby Wagner, but you also do have 8 alternates in there. Um, Geno Smith, Ken Walker, DK. DK should have made it, but obviously, the NFC wide receivers are just too stout. I mean, you had like CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Mike Evans, Puka Nakua. It is a hard group to compete against, but DK is gonna make it as an alternate. Man, Bobby, that's his 9th Pro Bowl, guys. That is insane. Um, who else?
Sure.
Alternates.
On the alternate list, Michael.
Michael
Yeah, Michael
Dixon, Nick
Dixon,
Ballore,
Nick Ballore. Yeah,
Gino, DK,
he's always there
K9.
for some reason.
Um, who else? Who else made it?
Who else was in
Might need
there?
to look this up really quick.
I can reference it.
Um,
There we go. I got it. Yeah, Ballore, Jordan Brooks, Dixon,
Brooks, yeah.
Diggs, Boye, Metcalf, Smith, Walker.
Boye, okay, Boye could have been in there too, because I mean he had that crazy stretch, and he's already got 9 sacks in the season. That's like the highest we've had for since
Yeah,
Jaron Reed and Frank Clark back in 2018. So he would deserve a spot, but yeah, he's a Pro Bowl alternate, so that's pretty nice too. So in total 11, 3 of them are officially Pro Bowlers. So I mean you're still looking at a promising squad. You just gotta fix so many things. I mean, coaching for sure, tackling, just schemes, obviously, play calling. There's still some stuff you got to patch up there, but the amount of Pro Bowlers you have is a promising look for the future. I mean, right now you're looking at kind of like a 2011 year, where 2010 was out of nowhere, unexpected, like the birth of a new start. You do make the playoffs that year, and 2011's kind of like the fallback year where you struggle, so maybe next year could be, hey, draft new QB. Penix, you know? Just follow it. Just 11-year gap. 11-year gap. If that's the case, we're winning the Super Bowl in.
wait, 11,
We're talking
13,
11-year gap because if we're comparing this to the
2013.
2011. Oh wait, no, 12-year. I am slow.
Yeah,
12-year gap. Isn't that great? 12-year gap. So if that's the case, we could be 2020 Super Bowl 60 champions. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's looking like a Ravens Niners Super Bowl right now at Allegiant Stadium. By the way, I saw
Mhm.
Allegiant Stadium when I was in Vegas over winter break. That place is huge, bro. It is absolutely beautiful up close. So it's gonna be a great atmosphere to play the Super Bowl in, and it is gonna probably be hopefully an exciting game, not like the Christmas game that they had, but I wouldn't mind seeing the Ravens whoop the Niners either. That would be kind of nice and satisfying.
That's your prediction, right? 49ers Ravens Super Bowl.
Hey, I mean, have you seen like the trend where like
Seen the
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 colors?
logo thing?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, it's
that's my
insane.
prediction.
The script is
Yeah,
insane, bro. I mean, in 56 you had orange and yellow, orange and blue or orange and yellow, which
red and wait.
it was orange and it was orange and yellow. It was orange and yellow. Yellow for the Rams, orange for the Bengals. Then last year you had
Oh
green
yeah,
and red, which was obviously
red.
Eagles, Chiefs. This year you have purple and red. And Ravens, Niners, right there. You're looking right at it. So we gotta just see the logo next year. And I mean, at this point, that's just how you figure out who's gonna play in what kind of game. Um, I think that's it for this episode. Once again, Happy New Year, everybody. 2024 is going to be a great year, hopefully, for Seattle sports. And we'll be with you guys the whole way as all these things unfold. Stay tuned for next week when we review the national championship game, possibly with Jacob talking about his experience there. We'll see you guys next time. Have a great 2024, everybody. And remember to stay tuned to Seattle sports. And maybe Oregon State
Go
if you're
Wolverines.
and maybe Oregon State if you're crazy.